All right, welcome back everyone to another episode of Technical Analysis Deep Dive with Mark Wood. You guys, hopefully everyone saw the video last week where we did a deep dive on the Bitcoin markets. Today is going to be more of a traditional market analysis stream. I will come in with a very few of my own charts, but this is a show for Mark to show off his charts. So without any further ado, we're going to jump into Mark's screen share fairly quickly. I don't have too many announcements other than please follow, like, and subscribe. Check out the Financial Summit's website. The next event will be in Maldives, March 16 to 21st. Mark, how are you doing this week?
Excellent. How are you? I meant to ask you, have you finished that bottle of Tears or
We did. We did finish the bottle of Tears of Lorena tequila that Mark graciously brought down to Miami during some event that was happening there. I don't really remember
it was a
anymore.
swan
The
event.
Swan private event. That's right. It was a Swan event. And yep, absolutely awesome. Thanks for bringing that and hanging out with us down in Miami. All right, Mark, let me grant you screen share permission here. And you are off, guys. I'm sure you saw my Bitcoin charting analysis this morning, and there's no reason for me to do that again. Please check out the stream with Matt McGregor. And Mark, off to you. Let's close the thing on the side there
Yep.
so that your charts could be nice and big. The blue button, the blue, yep, the blue thing right there. And let's do a little bit of Bitcoin analysis, and then we're gonna jump into S&P, gold, and I will keep an eye on the live chat to see if there are any good questions. We're gonna try to keep the show to about an hour, and we'll do our best. All right, Mark, floor is yours.
Perfect. So, in the last show, you asked me what are the main indicators that I use, and I mentioned my main look outside of Consensio, which we can look at, is just Bollinger Bands and two moving averages. Gives me a great idea of the trend on the time frame. And as you can see, we've got the price above the mean of the Bollinger Band and above both moving averages. And what's interesting is you see the price suspended right here. Okay, what I'm looking for is this to confirm as a local top, because my damn bird is going nuts. I might have to grab him.
No, it's okay. We don't hear him.
Um, so one of the things I look for to kind of look for a top is a red candle closing inside of the top band, and then for the low of this candle to get taken out. Sometimes it's just a tick or a close below. So a daily close below 69.1 is going to target 67.9 all the way down, even down to the middle Bollinger Band and 21 moving average. But so far it's not confirmed. And if I add one moving average, we'll see what's going on. It's being held up by the 3 EMA. So I consider the 8 EMA short term. But I guess we could call it intermediate term. This is short term. Like, this is just bullish trend on the time frame. So as long as the price is holding above there, we're good. So we could see some sideways and then another try higher. But if I see a close or two below, let's say 69.8 on the daily, I'm going to start looking for a little bit larger correction, which should be a major dip buying opportunity because things are super bullish, in my opinion. What do you think, Tone?
Well, you were on the daily chart, right? So the MRI top is coming in today on the daily chart. So in yesterday's video, I was already starting to be cautious with the MRI warning candle. And yeah, I do think that a higher correction is likely, but I also think 67,000 is perfect support.
Perfect. Yeah, I agree. Let's see what's going on with the weekly. Looks great. Oh, I put out a tweet that was quite interesting. If I get rid of these and I just look at MRI, so we've got a green star candle that printed this week with the price going up above 67.6. There are only, I didn't back test too many of these, but I went back to the last 4 green stars. We got one here, we got one here, we got one here, and we got one here. The average of those moves was plus 40%. Of course, there were a couple that were a little bit smaller and a little bit larger. So if I go on here and plug in a nice little 40% move, that's looking around mid 90Ks. So
Yep.
we'll see if that plays out. I mean, the green stars have been pretty money going back to at least
All of last year. All of
yeah,
last year. Yep.
yeah, all of last year. So that's interesting. And here's something. This is what I was watching. I was watching um, a huge pattern. I think on the last stream, I was looking for and almost hoping for one more dip right into here to time with the 60-day cycle low.
Well, Mark, you can't say here. You gotta
Gotcha.
say
At
a price and
right
a
at
date.
59K, 59 and a half, somewhere around there. But as you can see, I had this drawn in early May, this idea of drop into the wedge, break out, test the top of the channel. So I missed the bottom by about 1,000, and I was a week late on getting back to the top of the channel. But this has played out pretty accurately so far, and that top channel is as conservative as it can be drawn now, given the data we have. We got one close above it, and then we're going to try to probably find support in here and maybe try again. So from that standpoint, Bitcoin looks bullish. Weekly looks great. And I think that's being reflected by what's going on in the traditional markets as well. So you want to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things I've been looking at.
Oh, you have any opinions on the Ethereum ETF tomorrow?
I do. It's funny because I've been debating this with a couple of friends over the last couple of days. I think it's going to get approved. Now, is it going to get approved tomorrow? I don't know. But I think ultimately it's going to get approved, and it would just show kind of how incompetent the SEC is, in my opinion, because the SEC, the Ethereum, from what I've gathered, passes the Howey test. Like it's an
Okay, let's be clear here. Passing the Howey test is bad, not good.
exactly. Exactly.
It's bad for Ethereum. If you pass
Right.
the Howey test, you're in violation of some gnarly security laws.
Right. It's basically an unlicensed, unregistered security, right? But I guess that could be open for interpretation. And the SEC, they kind of screwed themselves earlier by not making that determination. In other cases, Ethereum kind of came out in their eyes as not a security. But that's not the main reason why. I mean, we have BlackRock that has submitted their application for the ETF, and we're all aware of their track record, getting like 99% of their requests confirmed. So that we have that going. But one thing that was interesting is that there's a list of ETFs of final decisions coming up like this week, and BlackRock's not on there. And I have a hard time seeing the Ethereum ETF getting confirmed without BlackRock being part of the game. So maybe they would just automatically be lumped in if it happens this week. But I'm skeptical of it happening this week, but I do think it's going to happen. That's my overall view. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I honestly don't. I have not been thinking about it at all. I really don't care, and I have not been paying attention. Just the Ethereum price spiked, people expecting it to be approved. So if it's not approved, Ethereum crashes. And if it's approved, I don't think there's much more upside, 'cause I think it's already exhausted.
Yeah, so it's funny, a friend of mine asked, so what happens if it gets approved? And I said, short term, the price is going to drop. And if it doesn't get approved, the price is going to drop. So we had that big pop on the premise of it possibly getting approved this week. And if it does, it might be a little bit of a sell the news event. And if it doesn't, you might get a little bit of a sell off. But both Ethereum and Bitcoin, like that was a big move for Ethereum. It totally changed its structure versus Bitcoin. It gave a really big bump at a really important low for Ethereum, right when people were about to capitulate and give up on Ethereum. So it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yep.
So let me show you something interesting with the Dow. So I have this Fibonacci that goes back to the top in January 2022, which was 36,891, connecting to the bottom of this little correction here down to 28.7. And the extension, if I zoom in, the extension of that run is right at the 1.414, which is exactly where the price stopped at the end of March. And there was a nice little correction down there, and we've bumped back up. And then in the
Hey, Mark,
last,
I'm not
yes,
I'm not familiar with the 1.41 Fibonacci extension. Is that common?
that one is common. It's one that sits kind of in between the all-time high and the 1.618. And um, it's yeah, it's I don't know if it's a common thing that a lot of people look at, but you have the 2.41 up here, 414 up here, the 2.618 up here, and so on and so on. And I just thought it was interesting. My point in this is that I think it's important. Basically, a Fibonacci extension can stay relevant for many years, many years. In fact, Fibonacci extensions from the crypto Bitcoin 2021 tops are still relevant now, 3 or 4 years later. So we have that little pause there, and hold on, let me get there you go. And then I'd mentioned in the last stream how important the um, the 886 is. So if I take this Fibonacci here I took the Fibonacci from this top at 39.8 down to this low at 37.6. That's what this is here. And we can see this pause right here. Let me get this set a little bit better. So we have this pause right here at the 886, which is super common. And that is a big turning point. We could have had an M top with a lower high and a much lower price. So when I saw that Fibonacci break, I got super bullish on all the indexes. It basically happened the same way in all three of the indexes. And now we are back to all-time high and trying to find support from there. And so the look on the Dow and S&P, it's all the same. They look the same. And NASDAQ, they all look the same. NASDAQ is probably the most bullish right now. So if,
which
yeah,
one is further ahead of its all-time high?
the NASDAQ is.
Are you sure? Because the NASDAQ hasn't hit 1.41 yet, but Dow did.
Let me see. No, I think you're right. The Dow, no, the Dow is still short too. The Dow was leading for a long time. The Dow was leading everything. And then once everything kind of caught up with the Dow, I think that NASDAQ currently is
Yeah, you're right. NASDAQ,
yeah,
NASDAQ is furthest along.
slightly more bullish. It's pulling things along nicely. So here I go. If I put on those moving averages again, we're going to see, I'm sure, the daily being held up by the red. So it's just climbing up. It's just climbing up that short term. And are we near oh, there you go. So we're getting really close to some key resistance right here, right below this 1.414 at 18,856 on the NASDAQ. So this might be an area to be watching coming up, but it just looks bullish. The markets just continue to look bullish for now. Here's an interesting idea I've had with MSTR that might be pulling Bitcoin along. My computer's slow today too. So MSTR, when it made this top here, hold on, computer slow, at 2000. If I put a Fibonacci, let me get rid of my Bollinger Bands. If I put a Fibonacci on there from, oh, here it comes. This kind of shows the point I was trying to make. So this is a Fibonacci taken from the 2021 top down to the 2022 low at 127. And if I show you the numbers, it stopped right at the 1.618 right here. So this Fibonacci is extended from 2021, and here we are 3 years later, still seeing this area be very, very relevant. And this is a key area. This is a key extension, the 1.618. Once an asset can start popping above that and closing above that, it goes into a whole next level of price discovery. So we can see, and again, we can see the 886 coming into play as this area right here at 1175-ish, dropped right down to it. We had a little bear trap, a nice reversal candle. This is helping to confirm the 886 as support, and MSTR is going to try to go back and take out that 1.618. So my theory is if that's leading Bitcoin, this is basically tipping off that Bitcoin could be heading to 100K, which agrees with the analysis of the MRI count, because here is the 618 for Bitcoin right here, 1027-ish. So if MicroStrategy is pulling Bitcoin along, and of course it's got that premium that everyone's talking about, and that's why it has a premium, because it has trended quicker to these higher levels of extensions than Bitcoin has. But I recently altered this parabola. I had it tighter, and I was looking for a pretty good correction once it broke, but it still holds, the parabola still holds true now. And we can see if this parabola will hold to slowly allow Bitcoin to grind and meet MSTR at the 168. What do you think about that, Tone? Crazy
Yeah,
talk?
no, it's definitely possible. MSTR has been more bullish as a leveraged Bitcoin play. And yeah, I think I also have 1.02. I think I have that same Fibonacci extension on my charts. And I am eyeing that number myself.
A 102? Yeah. And if you remember, I said on your live stream, I was actually on the halving live stream, that the 1618 is typically a dip. So if we look back to the prior market, here's the 1.618 at 30,000, taken from the 20,000 high down to the 3,000 low. And years later, the price trends up to the 1.618, and it typically blasts through it. And then the 1.618 is the dip. And the same held true in the cycle prior to that. Here's the top at 1,200. Here's the ultimate low at 150. The 1.618 was at 1,700. Move ahead, move ahead, move ahead. In the 2017 market, it blasted right through the 1.618, went to the 2.618, and here we have a nice dip at the 1.618. So let's take a look at what that would look like with Bitcoin in this market. If we happen to make a strong run past slow grind or quick grind up to the 1.618. So what happened in 2017 was a move straight up to 150. It would be like going basically within a couple weeks time, a month's time, up to 150. We'll break the parabola. That's the dip at 102. And hopefully 150 isn't the top. That's where I'm kind of looking for a top to be. But if we can get a move to above the 1.618, eventually test that as support, it will allow for higher. So MicroStrategy, I think I'm going to continue to watch MicroStrategy to see how it maneuvers past that 1.618, to see if it might give us some clues as to what Bitcoin could do as it follows. The play would be to take profits from MSTR and then come back into Bitcoin ETF or spot or whatever, wait for that move to play out. I think they might teeter back and forth for a while. You're muted, Tone.
Yep. Thanks for that update. So what other charts you want to discuss? I am keeping an eye on your live chat, guys. We'll try to take a look at a few stocks at the end. You had some gold and silver charts ready to go as well, right?
Yeah. So let me go back here. Gold and silver are interesting. First of all, gold. I believe that gold is. I believe that gold might be. I believe Bitcoin might be in a fractal similar to gold, where we had. So here's silver. Here's silver really quick. I just wanted to show you this. So I've been watching this massive triangle right here. So this triangle began to form in the 08 lows and the 2011 high that followed that. And it's just been consolidating. Silver has just been consolidating. It's been putting in higher lows. So, generally bullish. And then right here, I will almost always put this little blue ellipse very randomly. It has nothing to do with a specific percentage into the triangle. It's just where I start to look for some volatility. I'll look for a fake breakout. I'll look for it to get back into the triangle, maybe break down. But right around here is when I expect this pattern to start to break. And I was watching a little bit of an inverted head and shoulder right here, right as the triangle was getting ready to break out. And so silver had this nice breakout. The target for that would be around $35.75-ish, somewhere around there. It's gotten close. It's gotten close to it, but hasn't quite reached it. And then we'll see if this stays. One of the things I look for with a triangle, just to see if it's valid, is I will put the 21 EMA. I'll put the yellow EMA on something like weekly or 2-week. And I want to see that trending outside of the most liberal trend line I can draw, which this is. I mean, I can adjust it slightly, but it's a clear breakout. So as you can see, we have the yellow 21 moving average trending outside. So that eventually is going to be a place to look for a strong correction and a dip. And if that holds, I think silver's going to be set to continue a decent run. And I have a chart here, silver versus gold, but let's just take a look at gold real quick. So gold had these 4 tops, which kind of formed what I would call a bullish head and shoulders, being that the right side was super bullish. We just had a higher high over here, a higher low over here, but it's a years-long pattern. You can see 1 test of 2100, 2 tests of 2100, 3 tests of 2100, a little bit of a bull flag on the 4th test, and then finally broke out to new all-time highs. And one thing that is interesting that I have on my radar regarding Bitcoin is this. So the gold ETF was released in March 2003. And gold was 340 an ounce, and it had a nice 8-year run to the 1200 top in 2011. And I don't know, I'm actually curious to get your opinion, Tone, on this period of time from basically the top of 2011 until finally formally breaking out in 2024. That is a long time. And as you can see, this was a nice 50% correction, a nice rounded bottom. You could kind of call this a cup and handle right here-ish, and then a breakout. So my question to you, Tone, is do you think we might see something similar in Bitcoin after this initial rush of the kind of the dumping in of the Bitcoin ETF to have a little bit more of an extended, let's not say bear market, but after this market hype gets put in, I'm thinking it could take longer to get back to that prior all-time high than maybe ever before. Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, no, I definitely think the Bitcoin ETFs will help drive Bitcoin price higher. I don't think this rally will last as long. I think Bitcoin just rallies a lot faster. I do think ETFs will be a big driver to drive Bitcoin higher, but they're also going to be a big driver to drive Bitcoin lower when the top is eventually made. So right now, I'm enjoying the ride. I think Bitcoin can match the gold's move by percentage. But I also would have believed that with or without the ETF, I think the ETF may cause one additional doubling of the price of Bitcoin, but that's about it. So if you look at 340 an ounce to 2000,
That's
which
450.
was the high, right? It's about 2000.
Yeah, about 2000,
Right.
1900.
So 300 to 2000, that's what, about 7x? Maybe less, 6x.
Well, it's
You got
450% right here. That was a basically from the dip
so
of the
6x. Yeah, so
uh
that's about a 6x move. Five and a half.
yeah,
5.5x move. And I think Bitcoin can do that. I think Bitcoin can do a 5.5x move. Now, remember, the price of Bitcoin when the ETF launched is closer to 40,000 than to 70,000. It was in that vicinity.
right,
So now let's
right.
say 50,000 times five gives us a price of 250. That's a reasonable price in this bull market. My targets are a little bit conservative. I think we are going to go to like at least 140. I think 140 is my conservative target, and a quarter mil, third of a mil, that's my, lofty, maybe we get lucky target.
Yeah. So, one thing that's interesting that I learned from Tyler Jenks that I've never let go of is, he taught us how to follow clo tight weekly close trend lines, and he usually was on linear scale, not log scale. But whenever I see a trend like this, now this is on monthly, but whenever I see a trend like this, I will almost always just outline a general idea of when to look for that trend to have broken. Like to fit Tyler's rules, I would put this trend line a little bit tighter to catch this close, but no candles closing below it, and you can see how this idea is just so powerful because we had this one close below in 2011, and then a little bit of consolidation, and then this, I call this an M top with a lower high. That's a really dangerous pattern. We see it in crypto all the time. Um, and of course, once all that fully played out, we had this long accumulation period with gold. So I have it marked here. It took 3,226 days to get back to the 2011 all-time high. Hopefully that won't be the case with Bitcoin, but of course Bitcoin moves much, much quicker. And this was a nice accumulation pattern at the top of that cup, which, this was these taps of resistance, but right here, if you follow Wyckoff accumulation, you could kind of call this move right here, jumping the creek. And this is a spring. You usually get a spring. You get a nice bear trap to convince people that, okay, it is actually going to go lower. And then you have this massive move up. And Bitcoin had the exact same thing happen at the 15K lows. It was one of the most perfect accumulation patterns I've seen. I have it on my chart right now, but I don't want to dig it up. So here we have gold looking super powerful. Where are we on the MRI? We are on a warning on monthly, right? So have to take that into consideration. RSI looks fine, nowhere near close to a topping range.
Yeah, and look, at the last two times we had MRI tops, they were significant. Now,
Yeah,
the prior one is happening in consolidation, so I'm not too bearish on the last MRI top, but the MRI top prior to that with a monster doji candle happening before, right at the high, that one, I'm sure I covered it in a serious way. I don't remember my 2020 videos on gold, and remember, we're smack in the middle of the pandemic. Everyone is bullish on gold. MRI told you otherwise.
right. So after looking at gold and silver, um, I wanted to see what silver looked like versus gold. Where the heck is that chart? XA. I'm sorry. It's not there. Where the heck is it? XAG. This should pull it up. Oh, that didn't work.
You put XAG.
Oh. Yeah, I'm looking for silver.
Hey,
Maybe
hold on. I'll send it to you. I have a ticker
I
for
got it.
that.
I got it. Here it
I
is.
think mine goes back further. I have one that goes back to the 1800s.
But this is what I was looking at. This was what I wanted to look at. So this is gold versus silver. I had it backwards. I could reverse it and we'd look at it. So as silver was consolidating in that massive triangle that goes back years, gold versus silver has been consolidating in this triangle here. And you know, I would I would typically have gotten my little ellipse, and I would have put the ellipse, I would have drawn it about right here. And we can see that we're getting this move outside of the triangle right at the apex. So this is telling us right here that silver is outpacing gold currently. Um, these triangles are super subjective. I'm not a triangle pattern trader, buyer, seller. It just helps you look to time patterns when things might break. So we'll see if this is going to continue to trend down or if we might get some kind of a move back up into the triangle. Gold gets strong against silver. And often what happens is we have a breakdown, a breakup, and then more consolidation sideways. However, currently as a strategy, silver is going to be outpacing gold for the time being, with that strong move. What do you think about that, Tone? Because I know, silver is kind of like our Litecoin, the shitcoin to gold, but currently it's having a strong move.
Yeah, I think when gold reverses next month off the MRI top, silver is going to get annihilated. I do think this is going to be more of a bull trap. I am very bearish on silver versus gold, and I think that this anomaly will not last very long.
So let's see where silver is. It's getting a little bit of a topping candle there. Let's see where silver is on monthly. Looks strong. So it's on a green star on monthly. And
Yeah, that's interesting. It's on a green star when gold is on an MRI top. That is very, very divergent.
right. And this is why I wanted to bring it up on the show, because I thought it was interesting, like if you follow the crypto markets and watch the money roll through the big cap players back into the small caps. And I mean, I don't really trade all those coins, but I've kind of learned how to watch the money roll through those markets. I just saw this as an interesting pattern because it does kind of say, hey, listen, with gold getting hot, maybe take some of those profits and put them in silver and see if we don't get a run to an MRI top. From a horizontal standpoint, it makes sense to me. So there's a horizontal right here at basically where the price is at $31. Kind of if I draw it here. So that there's a little bit of resistance coming in there. However, this area up here around 34 or 35 is where I'm pretty sure silver is going to trend at least up there, and that's going to get close to the inverted head and shoulders target, measured move target. And then we'll see. However, with a monthly green star and a super powerful candle taking out the last high, that's bullish to me. I would be I would be very bullish. Let's see what the quarterly looks like. The quarterly is strong and on a green star as well. So maybe silver's going to have a little bit of a run.
Possible. I didn't sell all my silver, just most of it.
You did? How long have you been holding? What's the longest you've been holding silver?
Uh, well, longer than Bitcoin. I started buying silver around 2012.
2012?
2012, 2013. I started getting into silver. Yeah, it was, I think the first time I bought it was in $25 range.
Well, hey, you're up 70%. You're up 70%. All right, a quick look um at oil. There's an interesting pattern I found on oil. Let me see if I can get it to load. So oil, let's see. There's some key. So this is what I'm looking at with oil. There's this kind of like this. Well, here's first of all, let me turn off the MRI and clean it up a little bit. Here is that classic. So this is, this is kind of what Tyler was teaching us to look for with the hyperwaves. This kind of acted almost as a phase 4 of a hyperwave, just basically straight up with a couple corrections. And we have this initial top at 130, a dip, a bounce to 123, lower high. And once these lows were confirmed at $95 ish, then it was done. So I've been looking at this as a potential massive head and shoulders pattern with this M top at the top. And then what's happening right now is a little bit of a triangle consolidation. So I would take my ellipse and I would draw it about right here. So it's getting kind of to the point where I would expect some movement out of this range, up or down. I have no idea yet. And now when I put the MRI back on, yeah, so I have the eyeball there because there's MRI support right here at $75. And if that gives out, I think we're going to see oil break down, which kind of makes sense as the stock market is bullish. They're not directly inversely correlated, but typically when oil is having a little bit of a dip like here, the stock market tends to run bullish. What do you agree with that or not, Tone?
I don't really have much of a correlation between oil and stocks.
It's not a direct correlation. It's just a little pattern that I've noticed. So let me see. If I were to put on all right, so I've got 4 closes below the middle Bollinger Band right here. 4 consecutive closes below. Well, we got 2 days before this one, but it's looking likely. So I put on, okay, now, and I've got the short-term moving average below the middle Bollinger Band. And if I put on the other moving averages, so now this is what I look for. And we can see it playing out over and over again. It's one of the most reliable patterns I've found. When you have both the 8 EMA and the 21 EMA, I don't even need the short term. Crossed below the middle Bollinger Band, I start looking at the bottom band. And I could put moving averages on that will probably line up there. But my guess is that oil is going to trend lower down here. Let me see if I can find. And then what I love to see is a moving average at the bottom band. Oh, there's a bearish cross. Okay, so here's something I watch, and I'll show you something on Bitcoin that I posted on Twitter recently. But we are now we are now getting ready on a weekly to have the 200 EMA, which is this purple moving average, cross below the 200 SMA. So what that tells us is that on this time frame, on this weekly time frame, like we can see what happened here, right here, when the moving averages crossed bullish. You will usually get a drop into the cross, which was happening right now. You're getting a test. This area is going to be tested. But once it found support here, this was a sign that we're picking up major momentum. And when you get a cross like that on weekly, it can be super powerful. And that ended up after the cross. Let's take a move. Let's take a move from the correction. Not the ultimate low, but from the correction to the high was almost a 100% move. And so this is telling me that we could see the price of oil dropping significantly. And now here's another interesting moving average rule that I follow. So here is the bearish cross right here. We could see this sideways just losing momentum and the purple moving average slowly dropping down. However, look, this was during COVID. Look how far below the bearish cross the price was. That is actually a bullish sign for me, because it tells me that this cross is going to want to get tested. And there's no guarantee that these were the lows, but when you see these wicks, when you see a wick like that, in May of 2020, which basically bounced from $10 and the candle closed at 16, with this cross being in place, the pretty good sign that was a low. And let me see which moving average caught this right here. There it is. It was a 50. So yeah. So after a low like that, I look for the 55 to be resistance on the test of the cross. And once that's picked up, it was golden. It was off. So what we're seeing right now is the short-term moving average is about to cross the 50 again. It happened right here. And if this pushes the price below this cross, and it's happening at a fresh cross, with the price being very close, there's a very, very good chance that oil is going to be dropping lower, which isn't a bad thing. Which is odd, though. Here's why I find that odd, Tone. Because, in the U.S., gas prices typically rise during the summer.
Yes.
Right? So it would be nice to have some lower gas prices during that travel
No,
season.
it is very odd. I've had trouble explaining the oil markets and the oil prices. My only explanation is the United States is secretly buying a shit ton of oil from Venezuela, and they're not being open about it. That's my only explanation.
And you think it's not going into the oil reserves? It's not being tabulated in there?
I mean, no. They're also refilling the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which makes it even more. I mean, the global economy could be slowing down as well, so that's possible as well. But India is, moving up. China is still using a lot of energy, and somehow the U.S. is able to add to the Strategic Petroleum Reserve while the prices have been dropping, going right into the Memorial Day holiday. That is very surprising.
I did see something yesterday that the Biden admin is I think they were selling like 1 million barrels of the reserves. Did you catch that or not?
I did not. They've been saying how they're going to stop replenishing the reserve and stop buying, but they're still buying. Like it's just is everything is happening with the oil markets is very, very strange.
Right. And you know, opposite to that, I've seen natural gas rising a little bit, not super strong, but um, so it's interesting because the opposite of what should be happening is happening, and but it's not a bad thing. Like Europe got saved um, these last 2 winters by having natural gas drop.
Right, right. Somehow natural gas was able to fall in price in the winter when it's supposed to be rising,
Right.
and
And now
rising going into the summer when it's supposed to be falling. And oil is it's just something is weird here.
something is very weird here for sure. Now we can see here, so this right here is a 50, this is a 55, but we could call it 5200 death cross on weekly. Now here, this is a great example of how to analyze a death cross. I can get rid of this. So we can see, um, so here we had the death cross and we had price decently far below it. Okay. So maybe the low is in, at least for a test of the cross. Like I will start looking for a test of the cross. And the very first point of resistance, once you get past the short term, is always going to be the yellow 21, always. And of course, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 12 candles, couple months rejected, and then finally picked up, and we had this nice bullish cross. However, the 55 moving average was continuing to diverge below the 200. And the farther it diverges, the stronger the resistance becomes. And we've seen 1, 2, 3 rejections. And now this is something to pay attention to. I would imagine if I put on the RSI, we're going to see some bullish divergence. Let's see. Yep. So there's a little bit of bullish divergence here. We've got a lower low and we've got a higher low right here. So now we've got this close above the green and we're looking to get a second close above the green. I want to see 3 or 4 closes above before I can fully trust the support of a moving average. And then to look for a reversal, a bottom reversal, this is exactly how I analyze Bitcoin out of the bear markets. I look for these 2 moving averages, the yellow 21 and the green 55 to cross. That is a bullish golden cross. I call that a golden cross on weekly. And then of course, we need to see the price trending above the 200 EMA. So there's a possibility here that natural gas has seen a long-term bottom and is going to try to trend up here, but it's still not fully confirmed. It's got a long way to go. So that's super interesting. I found the relationships between silver and gold right now and natural gas and oil just interesting patterns to be tracking.
Yeah. Do you have another chart for us
I
on
do.
the
Let me show you
on
one.
markets? Otherwise, we're gonna pull up a couple of stock charts. I'll probably take screen share over.
Okay, let me just show you one quick thing regarding this this 200 moving average, because we had something major happen on Bitcoin on one of my favorite time frames. So if I put the 200 EMA and SMA back on. So remember, the purple is the EMA, the black is the SMA. EMA above SMA is always bullish, always, especially on a high time frame like 5-day, which I kind of consider BTC weekly. So let's go back and look at the history of this cross. We got it. We got it coming out of the, so it's only the third time in history we've gotten the cross, because these MAs were just forming in 2014. So here is the bearish, even back here, as soon as these 200 moving average established themselves, they were relevant. This was a bearish cross, EMA below SMA, resistance, consolidate, resistance, consolidate, and finally started picking up the 200. So let's look what happened to price once the EMA got back above the SMA, right here. Price was $800 in December 2016. And that cross took price from $800 to 20K. And what's interesting is we can see my brain, my brain sees this pattern right here. There's something holding the price during this curve, and I know exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be the 21 EMA right there. So the 21 EMA on 5-day was the dip of dips throughout the entire market. And as soon as we started seeing closes below that, it was over. 1, 2, 3 closes below, resistance, 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 crash. So one thing to note, interesting, is we never got this bullish cross out of the 3,000 bear market low. We moved all the way to 14K. These moving averages almost crossed, but they never crossed. And then we lost momentum, COVID crash, reset. So here we had the cross reset in 2020 after the halving, resting on the yellow 21. The price was 12,000 at the cross, and it took us to 65, 69K. So this is super bullish to me. We have a fresh cross. So basically what I'm saying is this: the price at the cross was 65K. So what if 65K is the new 800 and the new 12,000 from those two prior markets? And I'm not surprised at all to have seen the yellow 21 hold that low. So as things stand now, 61, 62K is the dip of dips, but I don't expect that to get tested again for a while. I think we're going to try to take out these wicks right here at 72K. And if we do, we're going to see the MRI weekly kick in. And I would not be surprised to see it at 90, 85, 90,000, 6, 7, 8 weeks from now. So that's about it for me. I mean, there's plenty of other stuff to look at, but this is something recent that happened in Bitcoin that I was super excited about. Posted it on Twitter about a week ago when I saw the cross confirm. So what do you got, Tone?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. All right, let me grab the screen share back.
So with the EMA and SMA, I'll show later. I watch the 50s as well. Whenever you see it doesn't matter what the time frame is. If you have an EMA of the same denomination crossing below an SMA, it's always losing momentum on the time frame. And all those crosses happen under the hood. You have to kind of zoom out to find where those layers of support are.
All right, so since we are looking at the traditional markets, I thought I would pull up my long-term history of Dow Jones. And as I pulled it up, right before the show started, it's why the show was a little delayed, I was trying to figure out why the historical data has changed. Because this trend line was touching the tops of the Dow Jones. And these circles were marking the well, this circle was marking this low, this circle was marking this low, this blue circle was actually marking back here on this low, and the red was marking that low, and the green and the blue were marking the tops. So something has clearly changed in the historical data, which makes me very, very annoyed that this happened, because now my charts don't align as well as they did before.
So
So hopefully,
are you saying that those lows have been moved higher somehow? Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, crazy. I don't understand that.
Yeah,
Can
I
you
mean, like at first I could say this is a misaligned chart, but this upper trend line used to be perfect. If I find
uh
screenshots of this, this trend line would have been topping the tops of these of the channel.
yeah, I can
So
see that.
somehow all the data before 1913 somehow got adjusted.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's very strange.
So are you thinking that the Dow is going to break that top trend line?
I
And
don't.
you think it's
I
going
think
to,
that Dow is going to stay. Uh, I mean, it might break it by a little bit, but I think that Dow is just going to go slow and steady. I mean, we could have a blow off top similar to the 1920s. It's very possible. I was more conservative. I put a target for the Dow at 7,000 in 2032, but it's possible the Dow can hit 100,000 in 2028.
and that would be something similar to 1929.
Right.
Yeah.
So on a long-term scale, I think that is actually more likely. So I think 1929 is likely to repeat, and you see us going out of range on the channel. So I should probably move this up, the green arrow, the green dotted line and the green circle. And I think, and this would be the end for the US stock market, by the way.
Yeah.
As
I
you
would,
know, I don't think America's surviving as a single country past 2030, 2032, maybe. Martin Armstrong sees it the same way, or more, or to be more, I guess, accurate and honest, I see it like Martin Armstrong sees it. The complete collapse of the United States by 2032. We'll see what happens. I mean, we could all be dead by 2032, who knows? But that would be in line with the stock market dying. And but I see the next 1929 crash coming. But before the crash, you get this exponential rise, and this would cause enough havoc that the next time it crashes, these companies will no longer be American companies. There will not be a single United States. I don't know where the Nvidias and the Apples are going to incorporate. Um, Again, if the US splits, who's taking the stock market? Will companies split, right? Will the Vogue companies go with the North and the Elon Musk of the world go with the South? I don't know. Where's Nvidia going to stand? We know where Google's going to stand. We know where Facebook is going to stand. They're going to stay with the Vogue culture of the North. But so there could be two stock markets. Whatever it is, I don't know how it's going to go down, but I do think that we're going to get a 1920s style rise before the 1930s style crash.
yeah, I'll take a look for something in the future because the I've become a huge fan of Bob Lucas and his cycles. I've just been following him for too long, and they play out again and again. Bitcoin bottomed in the middle of a 60-day cycle a little bit early, but it confirmed it by May 15th. And so now I'm looking for a cycle low somewhere between July 1st and first 2 weeks. They got to give and take some time. However, I know he's seeing Bitcoin in a long extended pattern as well. That probably correlates with the stock market, and he's anticipating a very, very long bear market after this next top. I don't think he's anticipating a crash per se, but I think it might be the end of a 16-year cycle. I'll take a look, but and then I've had a timing for Bitcoin to reach 1 million with some TA and just kind of global fundamental analysis by 2032 or 34, which would which would kind of line up when you're seeing the stock market make its blow off top, right?
Right.
Right. So, one thing we didn't get into, we'll leave it for now, but I'm just laughing. I've seen all kinds of tweets, and there's some really smart people out there warning people that the 10-year and the 2-year have been inverted the third longest time in history, which is totally true. Every single other time has landed in pretty disastrous results for the stock market. But they keep calling for crashes, and they kind of keep scaring people out of the markets. But there's nothing in the TA that says to be out of the markets. There's nothing, it's all bullish. And that curve, the 10-year, 2-year yield is just staying at a low. It's just staying at a bottom. Eventually, it's going to reset. And yeah, we might see a nice correction, but we're nowhere near that right now. We can take a look at that the next time because we're running out of time. But until that reverts, I don't expect the Federal Reserve to be doing any kind of significant rate cuts. Like there's nothing. There's nothing. It's not broken yet. They'll determine when that yield curve reverts when to start making those types of moves. I just find it funny. Some of these people are super smart global finance people, and look, they've been telling people about a recession for like 3 years now. And one point that I make is people are very, very unaware of how much money got printed in 2020. We can take a look at M2 next time, but I think it's a new paradigm. Like, I think that they are able to keep this thing inverted for way longer than people might expect. Could be a few more years even. But I would think by 2025, we're going to see something. And that might top with a Bitcoin top and a market top and whatnot. But it has been inverted for I don't know how long. I just keep watching the bottom form, and there's nothing confirmed yet.
Yeah, the yield curve is all over the place, right? Like the 30-year is almost in the middle. The 20-year is in line with the 20-year, but it's the 5 and the 10, really, right?
And the
It's
2 and the 10.
the right, and well, yeah, correct. Sorry, the 2 and the 10 is the 10 is fine. It's right. The 2 and the 10 are inverted.
Yeah.
And so is the 5. So the yield curve is a little bit all over the place. We'll see where it all goes. And I do think this yield curve is going to stay inverted another full year.
Yeah, I do
And
too.
we may get our blow off top in the stock sooner than later. Same with Bitcoin. This thing can stay inverted for the next 3 years. And then the Dow has that major crash, big recession coming. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see which way it goes.
There's a little nugget to tuck away. If you just track the 2-year yield and you look for a top on that, it has to confirm solidly. That is when to start looking for any kind of a stock market top. And it makes sense because if the 2-year tops, that means it's eventually going to revert back to back below the 10-year yield. The 10-year yield is going to bring a greater return. So those 2-year yield tops, I have a chart on that. We won't do it now, but every major market top comes after the 2-year yield tops. So I've been watching that. I just don't see a top on it yet. Still.
Thoughts on the NVIDIA hyperwave? I think we're almost ready for phase 4.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, NVIDIA it's ready to melt up. Do you have that on linear tone?
Probably not. Let me check.
Oh wow.
No, I had exponential.
Yeah, it needs to be. I mean, if we're looking at hyperwave, it has to be linear.
It looks like phase 4 has started. Well, maybe not yet. Hold on. So it looks like it needs a pullback.
Yeah, and it can take a significant pullback and still stay in the trend. Yeah,
That's a steep phase 3.
that's a steep phase 3, but let's see. It's I wonder if interesting.
Yeah, we may have to adjust the soft line.
Yeah, I will take a look at that. It's definitely acting like a phase 4 for sure.
No, phase 4 is way shorter.
I'm just talking about the steepness of it, not actually like you know, being time wise. I'm just talking about being straight up. One thing you could do is kind of draw a parabola there, that would kind of show us when that trend is going to break. But
Man, on a linear chart, NVIDIA is a problem to manage.
it really is. It's I would put
All right. Anyway, we'll do this offline and maybe talk about it next time. I want to pull up a couple of charts that people asked.
yeah.
One of them was Coinbase, and then we're gonna wrap the show up. Coinbase is bullish, but not as bullish as Bitcoin to me.
No, but it's got that same flagging pattern. Like it's trying to break out of that. It kind of has the same descending channel going on, but it looks bullish. It looks bullish. Yeah, check one thing really quick. A friend of mine wanted
Yes,
to
NVIDIA does have earnings today. We're gonna try to do Twitter Spaces during that earnings announcement.
check. A friend of mine wanted to look at Chipotle. Apparently, there's a massive stock split coming up, and I think it's like 50-1 or something like that. It,
Whoa.
it's bullish, but I would not be surprised to see a sell off after the split. Chipotle is CH. What is that ticker?
Yeah, one second. Someone asked for RHM. I'll just glance at that real quick. Well, third consecutive MRI top. I
But
don't
that
know what
looks.
this company is, but they're doing very well. I like this consolidation. It's bullish to me. Just wait for another green star candle.
I mean, that looks like a massive bull pennant to me,
Yeah.
which would see a huge rise if that breaks out.
Are you spelled Chipotle? I don't need there,
C
so
H I
no.
C H I P O T L A L E. Sorry, L E. There it is.
I like it. It's very bullish chart.
Yeah,
Wow. Chipotle has been making money. A stock split would be bullish for the stock.
yeah. Apparently, it's a big split. It's not a 4-1 or 5-1 or anything like that. It's. I think my friend said
If
it's
it's 50-1, the stock goes to $60. That becomes very bullish.
yeah, yeah. But it looks good. There's nothing alarming in there.
No?
Stay in, ride the wave.
All right. We need to end it here. Mark, thanks again for joining. It was great taking a look at your charts. We'll come up with a topic for next week, whatever you want to talk about. Maybe we
Perfect.
go back to crypto or maybe FX, whatever other topics, and we do another deep dive for a 1-hour show.
Awesome. Great to hang with you, Tone.
All right, bye guys. Please like, subscribe, check out the in-person financial summit as well. Oh, I didn't show where I will be traveling to. I will be heading to Texas. I will be around during Consensus. There's also some events at Bitcoin Commons where Unchained Capital is. After that, I'll be in Las Vegas. I'll be posting this stuff on Twitter, formerly Twitter. And also check out the event in Prague. I will not make it to the Bitcoin event in Prague, but incredible lineup of speakers from Michael Saylor to Adam Back, Jack Mollers, BTC Sessions, Giacomo Zucco. We can be naming them all day. Incredible lineup. So check out BTC Prague as well.
Awesome.
All right. Bye, guys.